And we're back. So hello everybody, I hope you are okay. Right now it's almost midnight in Turkey, and I want to talk about something that has been not bothering me but has been interesting to me. You know that we grew up with this kind of idea of professions and having different activities that have anything to do with the mind, and scientists and that kind of stuff like have more value. But to be honest, I really like to work with my hands, and we live in these times in which if you do this kind of labor, you are basically kind of like a loser or something like that. To be honest, I really enjoy it. So am I built to be a loser? Let's just talk about that today.
Everyone pretend podcasting isn't boring.
Okay, so just to clarify, I do not believe that people that work with their hands are losers, but again, that's what I've seen society kind of labels most of the time. I think with the coronavirus, people start to realize that basically some jobs are pretty useless and used to be or have the highest status. They're kind of useless, and the guy that pick up the trash or the nurse, etc., those are the ones that kind of are fixing the problem or being part of the solution at least. But in my case, I haven't worked as a nurse. I haven't done that in my life, but I've been doing different kind of activities while traveling, particularly because I use Workaway to travel more, travel cheap, and meeting new people. And I have crazy stories doing Workaway. It's I highly recommend it if you have the right mindset. It's amazing. Anyway, so I've been doing some works that basically have to do with working with your hands. And today I want to talk about three particular works that I really enjoyed. The first one was in Denmark. It was my first workaway. The second one was in Czech Republic, and it was with some people that were really into hippie stuff, and it was my first encounter with really, really hippie people. And the last one, it's the one that I'm kind of doing it right now. It's funny because I'm supposed to be helping with computer and SEO or the search engine optimization for a website and writing articles, etc. But it's quite, in some point, it's just, I felt that it was basically the work, it was done, and I just asked the person that received me here if I could just work around, do some stuff, maybe help. And I guess the reason I start to think about that is because there is this sweet beautiful Turkish old lady that works in this hotel. The guy that is hosting me, basically he has three hotels and one building, apartment building, and there is a lot of work. But right now with the COVID, basically he didn't have enough money to pay for many people, so there is only this sweet lady that is doing basically all the work. Sometimes she has to do 6, 7 8, sometimes even more rooms, cleaning the rooms, changing the sheets, all that kind of stuff. But if you see her, like, is this really kind of round grandma, like the stereotypical grandma that you will see in any movie or TV show about Turkey, I would say. And she's just lovely. Like the time, there was like sorry, I'm making tea. There was this weekend, and basically 4 days after Ramadan, because during Ramadan people do fasting and stuff, but once Ramadan is ending, they had this huge celebration that basically a lot of people are outside and people visit other people's houses. And of course, with the virus, the government tried to prevent that at all costs. So they basically said, like, you cannot leave your house for 4 days. And Turkey, it has many beautiful things, but also, the government, if they tell you don't do it, it's better if you don't do it, basically. So a lot of people stay in their houses anyhow. So it was 4 days, and my friend that is letting me stay here, he said, like, you need to store some food. So I said, okay. I went to the store, and I saved some food. But when I went to the kitchen, this old beautiful lady, she had like a lot of food for me, and I was like, like, it was too much. After the 4 days, I still had food. And by the way, like, many people learn languages very easy. It's not my case. Even in English, I make a lot of mistakes. I decided to do this podcast in English because I have many friends from different countries, and English is the basic language to speak between us. And I want to reach as many people as possible. So the reason I'm saying this is because I do not speak Turkish at all. Most of the time I communicate with my cell phone, with Google. I'm going to do a podcast about like these kind of technologies that you can use for traveling, particularly with languages, since Elon Musk says that in 4 or 5 years languages will be basically obsolete, and I quite believe it. Cell phones are pretty accurate, and I just use my cell phone. I'm quite lazy, or I just learn languages that I like or for fun. Now I'm learning Italian, so I cannot communicate only with the cell phone, or with some sort of expressions. But it's interesting how much you can communicate if you smile and if you try to be helpful. And little by little we start to build some kind of relationship, like some kind of friendship. It's so interesting. And every time she needs help, first she was like, no, don't do this. But little by little, until one day she was like, I remember I went to the lake to swim, and when I came back, I didn't have my cell phone. So she was like trying to tell me something. So I said like, okay, I'm going for my cell phone. And when I came back, I did the translation, and she was saying like, hey, can you help me again with this stuff? So she went from not want me to help her, or like for being polite, to ask me for my help. And I'm not saying like she needs my help. I'm saying that it's how you build trust. When you start to ask for help is when you really start to trust people, or to really to be friends. And just take in consideration that our ages are completely different. We don't speak the same language, and it's completely different backgrounds. It's like usually when we talk with the cell phone, and we do stuff like that. It's just funny. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is not to say that I like to help people. The reason that I'm saying it is that while I'm doing the job with her, it's just so relaxing to me. It's almost like it's not it's not work. I just put my headphones and I'm listening to an audiobook or something like that, usually an audiobook, and I do it. For me, it's almost like not working, like washing dishes or stuff like that. It's just relaxing. Sometimes for me it's a little bit, everything moves slow and it's like, okay, I want to do stuff faster, but that's the only thing. Like, I really enjoy doing these kind of activities. So let's just start from the beginning. Like, the first time that I did work away in Denmark was a lovely place with lovely people. I was basically working, cutting trees and cleaning some rooms, stuff like that. It was amazing. I really enjoy it. It's really funny because I see so many people trying to run away from those activities that I start to wonder, like, damn, maybe is that my destiny? Like, and it's not that I want that, but it's really relaxing for me. It's just like that. So we start to do this in Denmark, and it was really nice. It was kind of doing exercise, enjoying manual activities. I remember there is this movie. It became a cult movie. I highly recommend this movie. It's called Office Space or Space Office, something like that. Amazing movie. So this guy works in a company, entering some data. A lot of stuff happened. Just watch the movie. But at the end, he ended up working in construction, and he really loved it. It's just, for him, it's just the activity that he wanted to do. And sometimes I feel kind of like that I just enjoy these kind of activities. And there is some sort of really high value, high reward in doing something and immediately seeing, the outcome. Like you're doing some change right away. You're fixing something, you're creating something, you're building something in reality. Not some virtual shit, not words. Like, in reality, you are transforming something right away. And it's just nice. So the second time I did this kind of work, it was with some hippie dudes. It was so that experience needs a whole episode. It was crazy. But the core about this topic, about working with your hands, that I start to work with goats and I start to milk those goats. Amazing experience. It was so great. These goats, they were in a not national park, but in a very big park, and we had to take care of these goats and milk them and bring the milk, and it was really, really nice. I really enjoy it. And sometimes some friends told me, so you had a master's degree and you end up milking goats. And I took it kind of like a joke. It's just so, yeah, it's so true, so funny, and still it's so worth it. Anyhow, milking goats was super fun. I'm going to do an episode about that experience in particular, but I'm just going to give you a sneak peek. In one point of that, in those days, there was like this kind of underground concert, amazing concert. Some people were naked. It was super crazy. And in one point in the middle of the night, the guy says like, "Hey, why don't you bring the goat and milk the goat?" So imagine in the middle of a concert with some people naked going around, and in the middle of the place there was me just milking the goat. It's just some experiences that you don't have those experiences if you don't do this kind of traveling. For the guys that are listening in Instagram TV, Well, see you later. This is the last part for Instagram TV. If you wanna continue watching, you can, or listening to, you can check the episode in YouTube. The information is in the description, or you can listen in Spotify. This episode. Also, the link is in the description. So, moving on. So anyway, that was the second time that I was working with my hands, and it was exhausting, but it was amazing. Like really, I really enjoyed that. It was one of the the best. Again, I will do a full episode about that experience. You will love it. So, the third one is this one. I would say there has been some others, but maybe not worth mention. But this one is just so interesting to me. How we start to become friends. It's so funny. So today I was writing an article, the article that you can check online about in the page juanaround.art.blog about 5 tips about five tips about things that you should do before you leaving from one city to another. When you travel constantly, you need to build this kind of habits to have like a smooth transition from one city to another. I end up having like 30 different habits or something like that I I have like a checklist or something like that. So I wrote about the first 5, and I will write about the rest little by little. So you can check those. They are very good. So today I was working on that, and I was trying to explain her with my hands, like today I don't help you, tomorrow I help you. It was so funny because we start to understand each other. And again, like maybe I'm very lazy, but I haven't done the minimum effort to learn Turkish, so everything is just we kind of understand each other like that. And what is also very funny is that you kind of end up, how would say, like you kind of when you're traveling and you start meeting people and you have a different attitude towards other people, it's something like it's reflected. Let me put you an example. I will kind of do an outline about the situation, because probably the person will never listen to this. But there was another person here, and this person was really kind of trying to learn Turkish, and she ended up like learning quite some words and stuff, and she was able to listen and understand something, and I didn't do anything of that. But she had like a different attitude. I think it was like her first trip or something like that. It was like a different attitude, and she left the place without saying like goodbye. And even the person that it's in charge here, he said like, I didn't hear about her again. Kind of surprised. For me it was the same. I told her, like, don't leave without saying goodbye, and she just sent me a message. Hey, I'm out. I'm not there anymore. It's like, okay, like it's not something wrong, but it's just, I don't know. There is something that people feel these kind of things. So I was with the person that do the cleaning, and without only with the cell phone, and I must like as a warning, like it's everything through the cell phone, so maybe the interpretations are wrong, particularly the Google translator is not very good with Turkish, so it's like that. But she was telling me that this girl left, and she was like kind of relieved, or that's what I understood with her kind of movement, hand movement and stuff like that. And then we were talking with the cell phone, and she was like telling me, yeah, she never wanted to help. She didn't know how to help, or something like that. That's the translation with the cell phone. She didn't know how to help, but she knew how to eat. She came every time for food or something like that. It was so funny. And she had some sort of understanding of Turkish, and the communication still was not fluid because of the attitude that you have. And between us, it's just we don't speak the same language, but we just communicate, and you kind of build these relationships, and that's why I'm mentioned this through hard work. I don't know if it's something that you can build in other sort of environments. I remember I was working in one of the major newspapers in Mexico, the second biggest in the country, and I just quit. I hate the bureaucracy in that newspaper. It was horrible. In one point, I really think, like, really this is like the biggest. What the fuck? But anyway, so one guy was telling me, here everybody kind of try to defend their position, so they don't help you, they don't this kind of stuff. And it's so interesting because I see it in other kind of activities that is kind of like I want to shine more than other people. And I don't know, I don't recall if that happened in other in low jobs. Maybe in one point it's just like, we're fucked up anyway, and all of us are equally fucked up, so let's just help each other. Maybe it's that. I don't know. I mean, I've been working like in any kind of environment, working in call centers, working in in the music industry, stuff like that, with DJs when I was very young, not as a DJ, but like carry on the equipment, all sort of stuff. And I see that the most humble kind of jobs is where you build these kind of relationships, or at least that's what have happened to me in my life. I mean, I've been working in some newspapers and had like very good experiences, but I end up in some point sooner or later kind of let's just say that sometimes there are situations with envy or stuff like that, and that doesn't happen in low paid jobs. It's kind of like like we are all in this together, or it's just the same or whatever. I don't know. So I had to ask in one point, like, maybe I'm just built to this. Like, I feel good. I kind of detach from the activity. I just listen to my audiobook. With the people, I build kind of these good relationships, and it's something that you feel the reward right away. I don't know. When I was very young, I wanted to be carpenter. There was this kind of small carpenter set, something like that. Imagine that was crazy. Imagine that, like a small kind of carpenter set for kids, and it kind of worked with small pieces of wood and soft pieces of wood, but it worked. Nowadays probably that could be impossible to sell. So I always wanted to do something with my hands. I mean, don't get me wrong, like the work as a journalist I love it, and writing is just something that I really enjoy, but it has become so desktop experiences that is not what I signed for. And that's why I'm starting this kind of experiment, because I believe that people will sooner or later get tired of this kind of shit. Because in one point, like, we are designed to move, like we are designed to move, and there is just such a good feeling of doing this. So, long story short, nowadays I take my breakfast, I help a little bit in the hotel, and I listen to the audiobooks and stuff while I'm doing it. I really enjoy it, and I think that's also resonates with the kind of communication that you build. Like, people notice when you're willing to help, I would say. And it's funny how a smile can communicate a lot more. Like, you can learn the language and everything, but if you if a smile tells a lot more, and the willingness to help tells a lot more, and the non-complaining tells a lot more, that kind of stuff. And I've been like very blessed to really like these kind of activities, like because it's something that you can do everywhere. And I'm not saying that I want to live out of that. Like, when was the last time I was working in something like that? Or really working? Yeah, it has been a long time. Like, really long. Like, I know that it's not like my job, but it's really nice. For example, if you are traveling and you do couch surfing, like, just help out, like wash the dishes or something like that. Even if they tell you don't do it, just fucking do it, like, it just doesn't take too much from you. Like, for example, I'm not the kind of person that give gifts. I'm starting to do it now, because in Turkey it's like a tradition, like a very, very strong tradition. So I started to do it. When I arrive here, I give them a small box, like handmade box out of wood. It was really nice, but I'm not used to that. But I don't know why. Maybe I didn't receive many gifts when I was a kid. I don't know, but it's not like something that I used to do often. But helping, it's something that you can do every time. Even if you forget to bring something or whatever, you can do it every time. And if you see it with this kind of vision, like, for me it's natural. Like, I really don't like try to brainwash myself to like it. Like, I really like it. But if you don't like it and you want to have like a different perspective about it, just think that you're doing something nice. You can maybe listen to a podcast or something like that while you are doing it. It's just so repetitive, and you don't need to use your brain. It's like having a vacation for your brain, particularly if you analyze constantly stuff or you do that kind of activity. Working with your hands is so relaxing, and there are tons of workaways that you can do that. Tons of places like farms and stuff like that. I'm going to write also about like the possibilities of traveling, doing work. But it's something that I highly recommend you to do, even if you are a guest, even if you are not like doing work away. If you are a guest, it's always positive. And having this kind of I don't know, like, I would say people notice this kind of mindset of I'm going to try to help. When I was very young, like, I don't remember, but I was super young. I think I was 18. I used to work as a security guard in a hotel in Mexico. So anyway, it was Christmas, and they give you like this huge box with wine and like turkey and stuff like that, for like just give you that stuff because it's by law, and also it's something like companies do that in Mexico. So we were all of us with our boxes, and you usually, because they are hotels very far away, so you usually take all of us, the people that work there, we used to take a bus. So I'm going with this huge box, and the wine sooner or later end up being broken. The bottle of wine was broken, and in the bus. So when I was going out, I told the driver, like, if you want me to clean or something, because it was broke, my bottle was, I broke my bottles, so in your bus. And he was like, it's okay. So anyway, I get out all that stuff, I give it to the family of a friend, because I really didn't have like a refrigerator or something, so I give all the stuff to a friend that he hosts me for a week or something like that. So I give all the stuff. Time passed, and then I was walking outside and the hotel, and there was this car just approached to me, and there was this guy, and she said like, yeah, just hop in, and we started to talk, and he told me, like, I remember you were in the bus, and you were the only one that said that the bottle of wine, that you broke the bottle of wine. And there were like 3 bottles of wine broken, and it was nice. And thanks to that, he gave me another job and another position. But my point, after this long conversation, is that people notice, and just put yourself in the shoes of other person. Like, you kind of notice, that it's like, okay, so this person, even if you don't want to anything for others, but it's like kind of, okay, this person is trying to be nice. And my point is, try to be nice, brother, sister. Try to help out, and you will see the reward, not only through others, but through yourself. You'll feel yourself better. And don't run away from labor, manual labor. It's amazing. I fucking love it. It's so great. Maybe I'm designed for that. Maybe I will end up like being like a trash collector or something, and maybe I will fucking love it. Who knows? Anyway, so after this long monologue, time to say goodbye. Today I really expand myself, because I don't have the internet, so I just I just talk and talk and talk in the recorder. For full information about the articles, you remember that you can check the page around.art.blog. If you're listening this, remember that you can watch it on YouTube. It's basically like, it's not like video, it's just like you can just use YouTube to watch it. And if you are in YouTube, remember that if you like more podcasts, you can listen in Spotify, Google Podcast, or Anchor. Check out the Facebook page, check out the Instagram, check out the Twitter. All of them, you can look for me as Juan Around. And consider, if you like my content, to check my Patreon page, support Juan in Patreon. Or you can check to buy me a coffee in the page buymeacoffee.com/41. So the drill, like follow, like, share, and subscribe. Like that's really useful. And this is the world we're living, so we need to do this shit, I guess. If it were for me, I would just like talk with people, but definitely you need a way to make a living out of that. And contact me with questions or whatever about traveling, about journalism, about technology, about the stuff that I've been studying. So it has been a pleasure, and as always, see you around, my friend.